Welcome back to Artists Exposed with Tym Moss. We were just listening to Wave of You by my wonderful guest again, Ari Gold. How are you?
I'm excellent. That was a remix that Subgroover did of Wave of You because we put out some updated remixes of that was my very first breakout single.
Right, I was going to say, that's a very special song for you.
It is special because, well, we shot the video on Fire Island, directed by Guy Guido, and and it was a tribute to the work of the late, great videographer and photographer Herb Ritz. And it debuted with the launch of the Logo Network. They didn't even have any video show. They were just showing it during the commercial breaks. Yeah, and it was pre-social media, pre-YouTube.
My gosh.
And, it was a special video because it had man-to-man love, and it had, prominent members of the transgender community. And so, yeah. Yeah,
and that's what's so amazing. I mean, you've just been such a spearhead in our community and just such always tearing walls down. And I want to thank you for that right off the bat, because you've had a remarkable career, which we're going to cover in just a moment.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's been quite a journey.
But again, somebody had to break those walls down first, and you broke a lot of them down.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's like I can't. I'd like to say there'd be no Sam Smith or Adam Lambert if not for me.
Right.
But you don't know. You never really know. This is the path that it took, and there
Right.
You do have to pave the way when there's no path there, and thankfully now we do have some amazing, huge superstar mainstream artists. I mean, Sam Smith is really the first openly gay artist to be out from the beginning of his career out on a major label.
Yeah, because the major labels there for many, many years. I mean, up until recently, actually, would shun or encourage gay artists not to admit their sexuality.
Yes, and I personally have a lot of experience with that, and definitely a story to tell about that, which I tell in my autobiographical musical Pop Out, which you saw a very early incarnation of. But I always say, there really was a 20-year gap of no openly gay artists from that time when we saw sort of that outburst in the late 80s and early 90s of artists coming out of the closet, like the big superstars like George Michael and Boy George and Elton John, and the lesbian artists like Melissa Etheridge and Katie Lang, and that seemed like we were on the cusp of something going on.
Absolutely.
But instead, there was a 20-year. People don't realize that.
I didn't realize that until you mentioned it.
And I have my own theory about why that is. I mean, there's a lot of elements probably, but I think one of the biggest reasons for that was the AIDS epidemic. And I just think that the AIDS epidemic created such a culture of fear and fear within the industry that they just got scared and they didn't want to do it, and
that makes sense.
And that was during that time when I was trying to come out, and in my mind, I thought the world was ready. I thought that those artists paved the way for someone like myself to be out from the beginning of my career. I didn't necessarily anticipate the adversity or the I didn't anticipate the obstacles and unfortunately sometimes coming from within our community as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing I would like to touch on as well. But I mean, you've been in entertainment your whole life. I mean, backing up, would you say your first big job or big break was with Gem and the Holograms?
That wasn't my first. No.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, the people who did the music for Gem and the Holograms, I'd worked with them on a lot of other jingles, like the My Buddy commercial and My Little Pony and stuff like that.
Oh, fun.
And they knew what a big Gem fan I was, and so when the opportunity came for there to be a child vocalist, they didn't care that the role was for an 8-year-old Vietnamese girl, orphan. They said we got to get Ari in there, and of course my voice hadn't changed yet. And I actually did a lot of girl voices when I was a child. I'm not the manly man I am today.
Honey, we were all there.
And my first record I did when I was 6 years old for
that's
Pot
so cool.
Belly Bear, and we're actually sitting in my parents' house, and Well, this is not the place I grew up in, but this is where they live now, and there probably is a copy of that record somewhere here.
My
But, yeah. So I had been singing my whole life, and I do feel like I was born to do this. And
absolutely.
You know what's funny, Tim, is that I've also come to it's like for some reason I don't know why, but gay men of all types of groups, I would say this is another theory I have, and it's hard to I would challenge you to disprove it.
Okay.
That gay men of all kinds of subgroups are the group that most think they were born to be pop stars.
Probably, yes.
And so when I was doing my thing, I would come out into the world, and there's so many other gay men. No, I'm supposed to be a pop star too. I'm supposed to be a pop star too. And I didn't realize that either because I really had been doing this my whole life. I recorded my first demo when I was 12 years old,
wow.
And I started writing music when I was 14, and so. To all you gay men out there who think you're supposed to be pop stars, maybe you are, but you better have something to back that up, okay?
Absolutely. Because there is much more to it than just dressing up and walking out on stage.
And the desire to be famous.
Absolutely. Which seems to be the running thing now. I'm like, don't you want to maybe develop your craft, learn music and learn how to read music and learn how to write music and.
Well, unfortunately, with social media and I think it started with reality TV and now with social media. There is a level into which everyone can be famous simply for posting a picture of themselves or whatever.
But social media has definitely changed the industry or been contributed to it, definitely, because the industry is not like what it was 20 years ago.
Definitely not. It has definitely changed a lot, and of course, even before social media, the music industry was changing and going through its own crisis with free downloads and illegal downloads and all that stuff, and figuring out how do we make music if people are getting their music for free? How do we make money if people are getting their music for free?
Because it costs so much to make a song.
Yeah, people don't realize. I mean, there is the ability in this day and age to do a lot of the stuff from a home studio, but there's still costs involved, even if you are doing that. And I don't tend to do that. I do tend to work with collaborate with other producers who have a fairly significant studio setup.
Nice.
That doesn't mean that you can get great sound with a small setup, but I don't know. I just tend to do it that way, and so the costs are probably even higher, and but it still costs. And in fact, anyone will tell you also that however much budget. And I don't necessarily play by this rule, but it is a good one, that however much budget you have for the making of the work, you need to have that or double to promote the work.
Right.
So, it is art costs, it does cost to make art, and we need support.
Right. And then to get a return on it, if you invest all of this and the amount to create the song, and then the amount that you invest into promoting the song, what kind of a return are you going to get when everybody is wanting and expecting music for free?
Yeah. And I actually sold a home in order to make an album. So
wow.
That's, I chose homelessness. No, I was never homeless, but yeah, that's how important it is to me to continue to make my work. So whatever at all costs, and that's how you know that you were born to do something, because it doesn't matter what the obstacle is. You'll find a way.
Right.
And doesn't mean it's easy, because it's not, but you will find a way.
Well, you have to be creative.
Exactly. They don't call it the creative arts for nothing.
Well, actually, why don't we're going to take a listen to a song that you were releasing when I first met you. I think the first interview we ever did, which was, oh my goodness, that was several years ago. Serious,
well, 2007? That single may have even been 2006. I think it came out in 2007.
Yeah, 2000. I think it was 2007.
Yeah. And there's a song called "Where the Music Takes You," and it was with a singer named Sasha Allen, who is about to go on tour with Mick Jagger. So
okay. Well, let's take a listen to Ari Gold's "Where the Music Takes You."